This video here is for anybody that is looking to possibly start their first Meta Ads campaign, or anybody that is currently in the process of running their first Meta Ads campaign and basically trying to make it work. The other 50% of the battle with starting your first Meta Ads campaign, which most people would think is just technical and trying to understand what types of buttons to push to be able to make this campaign work. But the other 50% of it is the emotional battle of understanding that you're spending your own money and trying to think to yourself, is this campaign actually going to work? And so the first thing that I would recommend when starting up your first campaign is make sure that you have a hypothesis in place as to basically how much time it's going to take you to acquire your first purchase event or acquired client, and how much it's going to cost to actually do that as well. So for example, I might think that it's going to cost me about $3,000 to acquire my first client. That would be my CAC, my cost per acquired client. Let's say that I'm running $100 a day in spend, and so that would take me about 30 days, so one full month, to be able to acquire my first client. That would be my hypothesis. And that's really important because if you don't go into this with a hypothesis, over the first 5 days, 7 days of running your Meta Ad campaign, you're going to see so many ups and downs happening that you're basically going to quit because you're not going to be sure if you can actually acquire that first client. So if it's my hypothesis that I can get a client for $3,000 with $100 in spend each day in 30 days, I'm going to go ahead and make sure that I spend every single day for 30 days. Every time that I take a look at the data, that I am basically understanding the scope of my business and looking to see where I can actually improve and fix any bottlenecks across that entire 30-day period. Now, for example, we can take a look at this campaign here on my computer. And this campaign here has been running for 5-6 days. Amount spent, $467. Leads, 11. Cost per lead, you can see there. You can see click-through rate is quite high. Typically, we'd be looking at something between like 2 to 3%. 11.1% is very high. It's also coupled with a very high CPM. Right, so the CPM should typically be lower, at least around like $50 to lower than that. But this is a new campaign, new pixel that's trying to optimize, and so CPMs are a bit higher. You can see reach, impressions, hook rate, hold rate, etc. There's 3 ads within this campaign, and this is the type of data that we're seeing. So this is important data, obviously, be seeing for the campaign. We have to understand that we just set up a Meta Ads pixel that has basically no data. And so Meta has thrown a bunch of different types of information at that pixel. And by information, I mean different types of leads. For the first few days here, you're getting really low quality leads. You're getting maybe super high quality leads, but don't know anything about what type of offer you have. The leads could just be all over the place. If you run your campaign without a hypothesis, you're going to stop running your campaign after about 5, 6, 7 days. Because you just spent $700 and you feel like you're getting random leads and the pixel hasn't optimized at all. So we have this information for the ads basically, and then we also need to have information for the funnel itself. And so over the first few days we have 36 leads, 28 leads are unqualified, 8 leads coming in that were qualified, and qualified lead percentage is sitting at 22%, which is very low. But the nice thing that you can see here is all the qualified leads started coming in the last few days. So the pixel was starting to optimize just at the end here. Total calls is 14. All the calls were unqualified calls, and total shows was 4. Total offers 3. No closes, they were all unqualified. And in terms of booking percentage, so the amount of calls on the calendar divided by the total leads came to 38%, which is a bit low. We want that between like 40 to 50%, and shooting for about 50%, and show rate 28%. That is very low as well. So take a look at this type of information for your funnel, and obviously go ahead and understand that a couple things here need to be improved, right? So basically the setting process needs to be improved here to get these metrics into better standing. And the spend was $467, cost per lead $12.99, cost per qualified lead was $58, cost per call $116, but the cost per qualified call is not in here because there wasn't a qualified call taken. So this is the biggest problem so far for the first few days of running that campaign. And that's okay because we have the hypothesis that over 30 days, not just 5 days, that will be able to acquire a client. And you'll be able to take a look at all of the calls that were on the calendar and see how they were. And you'll start to have an idea of what type of things that you need to change to be able to improve your funnels so that people on the calls are interested in what you have to offer and can close on the actual call. And these metrics here are important because we're thinking, how can these be improved to basically improve the chances of us getting to that one client in 30 days. So if we could get this booking percentage up to 50%, if we could get the show rate even up to 50%, those two changes would make a massive difference. If those two changes happened, I'm sure we would have had some calls here sitting in the cost per qualified call column. And who knows what would have happened to those, could have already had a close, right? So small improvements along this process here, sitting at 1/6 of the way through to the hypothesis, and things are looking pretty good. So again, you just gotta really take your emotions out of it, look at the data, make sure that you have data prepared, and go ahead and just see how you can continue to improve things over that 30-day period. That's the best way to take on your first meta ads campaign. And again, your emotions are gonna be all over the place. The best way to combat that is to have data in front of you and to basically have a hypothesis for how much it's going to cost to acquire your first client. Hopefully that's helpful, and I'll see you in the next video.